good evening, Tallahassee, and welcome to this Wednesday's edition of FSU Weather. So today, Megan and I will be talking about some weather that's to come in your future.
Yeah, I'm student meteorologist Megan Berry.
And I'm student meteorologist Sydney Welch. Now, as you've noticed if you've been walking around campus yesterday and today, wow, total opposite of the entire month before. It has dried out and those temperatures are much cooler, so comfortable on campus.
It was a gorgeous day out. I had to work early this morning, so I wore layers today because the temperatures did peak around 79, 80 this afternoon, but overall can't complain. I mean, a lot better than it was a few weeks ago, and it's going to be a lot nicer as the year progresses, but it's feeling like fall. So.
Isn't it funny that we're describing 80 degrees as a high as a cool day? I just find that so ironic.
Yeah, but it was less humid, and you hang out in the shade on campus, and it's just a lovely time to be outside in the afternoon.
Yeah, and some wind also bringing in, it was just a beautiful day. But we are going to be taking it over to Michael with a look at an overview.
Thanks guys. So again, Megan and Sydney were saying today was an average fall day, and according to our almanac, it actually was. Our high was 80 degrees, a little bit below the 81, but look at the low, 56, right exactly at our average, and not near our record high of 91, set back last year. Today's low temps, now we're going to show you this for a reason, because it was so cool this morning due to that cold front from Monday, 56 in Tallahassee, but the one spot I want to show you, 48 in Marianna. That's how significant this cold front was on Monday. And satellite and radar is showing clear skies across the southeast because of a dominating high pressure set over the Carolinas. And we still have this stalled front down in South Florida. For tonight, another cool night, perfect for stargazing, 58 degrees. And our weather headlines are, we're going to continue with the fall weather. The rain chances will increase by the weekend with another fall cold front. We're going to send it back to the desk.
Thanks, Michael. Now, we are going to take it back in time to 2005 with the crazy hurricane season that 2005 had. On this day, back then, was the formation of Hurricane Wilma.
I know that was a very intense storm, once again hitting South Florida, and I believe that hurricane season was really busy. They had 21 storms formed in that season, which that's a lot for one season of hurricanes.
We thought that 2017 has been an active season with 15 hurricanes formed, so wow, storms that have formed within the Atlantic this season. But Hurricane Wilma was the most intense tropical cyclone ever recorded, with a low pressure peaking at 882 millibars.
Yeah, that's very, very intense. Once again, one of those storms I don't think anyone predicted to get to a Category 5. I mean, those just intensify so rapidly. But, I mean, we're only sitting at 15 this season. We didn't quite get there, but the season's not over yet.
Yeah, no, the season is not over yet, so we really can't rule that out just quite yet. But the amount that they had in 2005, that is an infamous season to this day. So
absolutely. And some less intense weather history. We have a list of events right here that happened this day in weather history. In 1906, a hurricane struck South Florida, drowning 124 people stranded in the Florida Keys.
Oh, that is awful. That is just awful. So it is a little more intense than we thought about that. But in 1910, a northeasterly wind as high as 70 miles per hour from a hurricane moving northward in the Florida Peninsula carried water out of Tampa Bay and Hillsborough River, and the water level lowered 9 feet from this.
Yeah, we also saw a lot of water receding back in the Tampa area as far as the last hurricane went, Irma. So South Florida just getting a lot of interesting weather now and in the past. But yeah, right now we're going to go ahead and send it out to Tevin with a look at local weather.
Thank you so much, Megan and Sydney. We want to talk about a few things. You girls just talked about some intense hurricanes. Now let's talk about two things that intense high pressure systems do. We know they cool you down, and then they also dry you out. And we had some intense amounts of cooling down going on comparatively, of course, to the last week. Today, though, the high, or currently right now, 79 degrees with dew points at 62. So the dew points are starting to cool down. The humidity level at 56%, with winds coming from the east-northeast at about 9 miles an hour. Now, this is the first part of what a cold front does. It will cool you down. Today's low temperature is 56 degrees for Tallahassee, Quincy at 50 degrees, Marianna 48 degrees. That's because the lack of cloud coverage overnight allows for that infrared radiation to seep away from the Earth's core and be emitted back into the atmosphere. Therefore, we lost temperatures, or we lost, think about it, if you have a blanket with you overnight, then you're going to be warm. If you don't have a blanket at night, you're going to kind of be cool. And some people like to be cool at night, especially after we've had several rounds of 80-degree temperatures or above. Currently, right now, elsewhere across the Big Bend, we're in the upper 70s for Tallahassee and St. Mark's, Carabel and Apalachicola in the upper 70s as well. This is the next thing that a cold front does, or a high pressure system will do for you. The dew points will begin to drop. 62-degree dew points in Tallahassee, 65-degree dew points for Monticello, 57 for Thomasville and Mariana. They always have to be the cool spot. 55-degree dew points right now. That's okay. I think everyone has something to like about these dew points. And here's what dew points mean. If they're in the 70-degree range, that's going to be the air you can wear. It hits you like a ton of bricks when you walk outside. But we're in the 60s. That's the moderate range. But really, for us, that's comfortable. But if you're really in the 50s, you're even more comfortable, like Mariana was. So current winds right now, we have an area of high pressure off the Carolina coast, and so that's going to rotate in a clockwise flow, so therefore the onshore winds will come from the northeast at about 7 to 9 miles an hour. Jacksonville seeing gusts at about 13 to 20 miles an hour. So the satellite and radar showing you that that cold front moved on down to the south and sort of stalled out near Orlando to Miami. But take a look at this. We do have some coastal warnings and flood warnings for areas like Jacksonville and along the St. Johns River. Here's the regional setup showing you that there is a high pressure system out over the Carolina coast. The front stalled out, rain and storms behind that, but they're just going to be few and far in between. The boating forecast showing you that if you're going to be out in the water tomorrow, the winds will come from the east at about 10 knots, waves at about 3 to 5 feet with a moderate chop. A small craft advisory is in effect for tomorrow's forecast. Tonight's forecast, it's going to be a mostly clear night. Go ahead and go stargazing if you can. The mostly clear night will allow you to see those stars. Also might allow for those temperatures to drop below 58 degrees because as I just explained, we lose radiation. We start to cool down even more with winds coming from the northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Thursday, expecting temperatures to be in the lower 80s. A carbon copy of today, maybe just a smidge warmer with sunny skies, so wear layers. So then that way, you know, you wake up in the morning and it's 60 degrees on your drive to school. You can roll down the windows. It feels great, but by the afternoon, it's going to start to feel hot and muggy somewhat. So Thursday, we're talking about temperatures at peaking at about 84 degrees by Friday. Another carbon copy forecast Saturday into Sunday. Guess what? The temperatures start to warm up just a smidge, but we have another frontal boundary on the way, and Sydney's got more information on what the rest of the southeast is seeing because they're sort of seeing something similar, right, Sydney?
Oh, yes. So we do notice the Tallahassee seeing that sunshine today. That is dry conditions and that sunshine. And the rest of the southeast, look at all those suns. There are full suns basically everywhere north of Atlanta since this high pressure is dominating the region, causing the clouds to go away. So beautiful nights ahead for us and some cooler temperatures to come. Currently in Tallahassee, 79 degrees, so it has cooled off slightly from our high today, and we did hit 81 degrees for our high, so 2 degrees down from that. It's funny because we are calling 80 degrees a cool temperature for this time of year. Now Montgomery's seeing 75, Atlanta's breaking down into the 60s, seeing 69 degrees, and then over towards the west we're noticing Shreveport, our hot spot on the map at 80. Other than the southern parts of Florida, Miami and Key West in those 80s as well. Now looking at the relative humidity, we are used to relative humidity closer to 70 to 80%. Right now, Tallahassee, 56%. So we're seeing a lot of relief within the region. Wow, look at Montgomery, 29% relative humidity. So the high pressure system that is sitting over the Carolinas is really bringing those relative humidities down and causing clear skies and no clouds or precipitation for the region. Now you can really see that on this. No cloud cover. It looks like the radar is broken everywhere north of Orlando, but then once you hit Orlando, Orlando is getting some sea breeze showers coming in from the east over Orlando, and also there's a stalled out front over the Keys and Miami, which is causing clouds and precip. So that is the front that we saw a few days ago, but now it has become more calm and it is causing a little bit of rain down there for those areas. Now looking into our water vapor,
look at this boundary. This is a boundary between the dry conditions of that high pressure, where the high pressure is dominating, and south of that, the high pressure is dominating with those orange colors. You can really see the dry conditions in the upper levels. And below the boundary, that green is showing the moist, juicy upper levels, and that is where it's raining, and that is where the low pressure is more dominant for those regions. Now look at these winds, really does paint a picture of that clockwise rotation around the high pressure that is just slightly north of where our map can see. And you really see those winds ramping up over in Little Rock at 12 miles per hour. Now watches and warnings, we are going to notice that we're seeing small craft advisories to the west and to the east of the state of Florida with nothing with no other warnings other than a flood warning in the central parts of Orlando, and that has been since Hurricane Irma, and also high surf advisory to the high surf advisory in the central parts. Now we are going to take it over to Tevin and Michael. What's going on at FSU, guys?
Actually, yeah, we're going to bring it in. Thanks so much, Cindy. We're going to bring it in and talk about some tropical systems, but luckily, Michael, for us, they're not occurring here.
Yeah, with their cold front sweeping through, it's not going to allow any tropical systems to come to the U.S. But we were talking about Ophelia on Monday. The remnants of Ophelia did impact Ireland and Great Britain.
Just a few days ago.
Yeah,
which was atypical for a hurricane's path.
Yeah, really atypical for October. But in terms of them getting a break, they're actually not going to get a break. We have Invest 92L. We were tracking that for a little bit. It's not going to develop in the Atlantic Ocean. But what's going to happen is it's going to get picked up by that jet stream. And the jet stream is going to bring it again to Ireland and Great Britain. And it's going to be a really strong extratropical cyclone for this time of year.
And so it already has a name on it.
Yeah, the UK meteorology have already named that system Brian.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to ask, so we name our storms, and so I'm assuming the UK does somewhat the same.
Yeah, the UK, they name the storms, their fall and winter storms, every year. They use a list just like we use for hurricanes, but they do it for their extratropical cyclones that impact the Ireland and the UK.
Just goes to show you that tropical season is not over for a lot of people, part of that being the UK right now.
Yeah.
With Ophelia.
So what we're going to do right now, we are going to send it out to the wall and take a look at the national weather. Currently, the national weather is pretty uniform, but it's going to change these next few days. Currently, we have like the cold front that sweeps through on Monday, and it's given some cool conditions still to the northeast. But you can see it's much warmer in the southern plains. We have 83 in Dallas and 71 in Minneapolis. That's really warm for them this time of year. The 24-hour temperature change shows you that. Because it was so cool yesterday due to that cold front sweeping through the eastern two-thirds of the country, we have temperatures much warmer today. 12 degrees in Boston and 7 degrees in D.C. Water vapor, again, shows you that cold front, it stalled out in South Florida. But I want to point out, in the Pacific Northwest, we have a series of low pressure systems. This is the first one that's going to enter into Washington State and Oregon. Let's take a closer look. Actually, here's another look at our national, and we have high pressure dominating the eastern two-thirds of the country. A building ridge is going to set up for these next 2 days. But again, there's that low pressure system I was pointing out in the Pacific Northwest. This is the first of a series of low pressure systems that is going to give them a lot of rain these next few days. Now let's look at that stalled out front in South Florida. It is situated right around the Keys, but it's still giving some moisture from the I-4 corridor southward. And also what this cold front is doing, and high pressure situated up to the north, it is giving an east wind, and it's giving some rip currents and high surf to the eastern coast of Florida. Now let's take a look at the low pressure system in the northwest of the country. This is going to give a lot of rain to the northwest for the next few days, and will actually give some rain to Northern California, which is still dealing with their wildfire situation. But in terms of the northwest, a lot of rain near the coast and a lot of snow in the Cascade Mountains. Watches and warnings, we have some marine warnings out in the west due to that approaching low pressure system. Some marine warnings again down in Florida due to that east wind. But then let me take a look at these red flag warnings. It's been so dry and so warm up in the northern plains that they have to post red flag warnings, meaning like the land is pretty timber for this time of year. Airport delays. There were actually some airport delays in Seattle earlier, but now they're showing 0. But I won't be surprised if there's airport delays up there due to that approaching low pressure system. Tonight's forecast, warm across the east because of that building ridge, but it's still going to cool down due to those clear conditions. And again, cold across the west due to the mountains and a building trough in the west. Tomorrow, very warm across the east due to that building ridge. 71 up in Minneapolis. Really warm for this time of year. 80s along the Gulf Coast. And so, yeah, now we're going to go back to the desk with Tevin again.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back and talk a little bit more about academics here at Florida State, because we know that the university is, we've got a great weather department and meteorology department here.
Yeah.
But it looks like the rest of Florida State is also shining amongst national accredited schools. And so once every 3 years, Florida State University freshmen and seniors participate in a national survey to pretty much say if your needs are being met as students. And 88% of students say yes, their needs are being met. And this is a survey done or conducted by the National Survey of Student Engagement. 88%, that's a large number.
That is really a large number. And it's good to see that students really enjoy being at Florida State. That's a really good thing for us.
And so not only does it say are your needs being met, but it also asks if you could do college over again, if you could start all over again, would you choose the same institution? And those 88% said, of course, yes. So,
yeah. I've seen a lot of like these rankings recently. We've been building in the rankings, and that's a good sign in terms of us as a university.
Absolutely, and the results are compared to other schools or participating national research universities in other public schools. So it's not just, schools in Florida. This is something happening across the nation.
Yeah, that's a really good thing, because especially with all those Ivy Leagues and also with these good universities, for us being good in this survey is a really good thing for us as a university again.
Absolutely, and it makes, as we continue to progress as a society, it lets people know that Florida State is still remaining relevant. And I think that's very important in an academic setting. You don't want to become stagnant. And with anything that you do, you don't want to become stagnant. You always want to compete, show you can compete and remain relevant.
And that is really good in society as a whole.
All right, so kudos to Florida State on that. And let's remain relevant with the weather here in the state of Florida. Tallahassee, your current conditions right now at 79 degrees. Jacksonville at about 75 degrees, somewhat cloudy a little bit. Orlando is at 79. Tampa, you're at 82 right now. And hello to you down in Fort Myers. Sunny and 82 degrees with West Palm being at 82, but a few more cloud coverage is in the area. Current dew points right now across the state. Everyone is somewhat comfortable, maybe a little bit more humid air down south between Fort Myers and Miami because of that frontal boundary that stalled out. And so what happens with that stalled out boundary is you're going to get opposing winds. So north of the boundary, the winds are coming from the northeast, as is the rest of that high pressure system. But south of the boundary, you start to get the winds coming from the southwest. And you can also see some of that here on your water vapor imagery, which is about 15 to 25,000 feet higher in the atmosphere. The warm or the moist air, the warm moist air is still somewhat floating around Orlando, but also down near West Palm Beach and Miami. But look where the cool dry air is. You could slice this state right in half near the Panhandle and show you that the drier air in the orange there is for Tallahassee all the way to Jacksonville. So along I-10, that's where we're seeing more of that drier air. But the winds are coming from the northeast because of that clockwise flow from the high pressure system at about 13 miles an hour in Jacksonville. Orlando seeing winds at 12 miles an hour from the northeast, and Tampa at about 9. So I just mentioned the opposing wind direction and opposing flow with the stalled out front, and you can see that here on our satellite and radar. So for most of North Florida, a dry sky, but somewhere south of Tampa and Orlando, that area, you're going to get the flow coming offshore at about, or onshore rather, from the east and northeast, but south of the stalled front, you can start to see some rain showers moving in from the west and dissipating somewhat near that frontal boundary. As for futurecast radar, we do start to see that frontal boundary die out a little bit, and most of the state should start to dry out overall in the grand scale of things. But then by tonight, also starting to see some warmer temperatures too. So the cloud coverage still remains for places like Fort Myers to West Palm Beach and Miami, but North Florida, we will be mostly clear tonight, so you will be a lot cooler than the rest of the state. 62 degrees tonight for Jacksonville. Pensacola at 59. Tallahassee is at 57 and cool tonight. Tampa and Orlando both at about 71. Thursday's forecast, we do warm up a little bit. What goes down must come up, or rather it's what goes up must come down, but we've already been down. So let's go back up. Our temperatures will start to go back up tomorrow. We're talking about temperatures in the mid to lower 80s for Pensacola to Tallahassee, but as we work our way towards the east coast of Florida, Jacksonville, you're still near some of the source of moisture, so you'll be at about 79 degrees tomorrow. Orlando is going to be at 87 degrees. Tampa, you're at 90, along with Fort Myers, and West Palm Beach is also at about 87 degrees. And Sydney, if you look near Miami, Miami is always either like rainy, really, really rainy, or really, really hot. Tomorrow is that combination of both, where they might see some more rain showers, or they could just, warm up a little bit. But the good news is this is not a severe weather forecast. It's October, a frontal boundary has come through, and I know that there's another one in the forecast for next week.
Yeah,
so it's a 1-2 punch.
Exactly. So right now Miami is seeing the part of the front that is bringing the moisture down, and they're not really getting those temperatures decreasing quite as much as we saw because it's more weak at this point.
Exactly.
So but they are seeing the moisture, so that is slightly unfortunate for them. But the next front, we'll see what happens with that in Miami as well.
You know who is seeing some good news?
Oh, there is a family in Tallahassee
That's
seeing some
right.
good news.
We're not keeping up with the Smiths. We're keeping up with the Johnsons. They are a Tallahassee family of 5. Chelsea, Jarvis, Ebony, Willie, and Ingrid. I got all of those names correct. They were on Family Feud.
Yeah, Family Feud. That is so random but so awesome that a family in the local community was able to go on the game show Family Feud.
My mom actually likes that show, and so over Christmas break, we watched nothing but the game show channel. I can't stand the channel. I like the show Family Feud, though. Mom loves the show, so this is absolutely exciting to see a local family going to compete. They say it was an intense experience that they will never forget, and rightfully so. Yeah,
if my family is ever on Family Feud, I can just see my Grammy right now. She loves that show. She would be seriously cheering in the audience to the family being on Family Feud.
Could you think if they had like a Florida State weather edition of that show?
You'd be on my team.
we would, but it says, I know that we like to, vibe off of each other a little bit, but it says you can't share answers like you think you can.
Yeah, so even if they knew the answer, they had to just look at the person and be like, please read my mind.
I have a twin brother, so maybe he could read my mind. And is that cheating?
More likely than not. No, not cheating, but more likely he could read your mind than anyone else, I would say at least.
The episode was filmed 5 months ago in Atlanta, and they encourage all families to at least go and audition for the show. Atlanta is about 4.5 hours away, so not too far.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. We should really try to do that with FSU Weather.
We're gonna call FSU Weather and see if we can go compete for FSU Weather, win some cash, and bring back for the university.
Yeah, exactly, for the university. But right now, we're gonna take another look at the weather with Megan.
All right, let's wrap things up and take a look at our last look at our current conditions right now in Tallahassee. 79 degrees, partly cloudy. That 56% humidity, though, keeping us very comfortable. Not very humid outside. Our winds only 9 miles an hour, but out of the north, so they're a bit cooler if they were than they would be if they were out of the south. So very nice current conditions. Right now, our current temperatures in the entire region looking pretty similar. We get a lot of those upper 70s. Apalachicola, not even any cooler down by the water at 79. Just a very common story throughout the region. A mild heat, going to be dropping later in the evening, so things are pretty comfortable right now. Our dew point showing us that along with that temperature, we are sitting at a very moderate dew point. Things are not too humid outside. 62 in Tallahassee, 61 in Quincy. A chillier 55 in Mariana, so their dew point's a little bit lower. They are less humid than we are right here in Tallahassee. Down by the water, things get a little bit more humid with that sea breeze, 66 and 65. So pretty similar story throughout the region as well with those dew points. Things are sitting pretty nice for us. That cool front did us a favor and allowed us to cool off and get less humid. So we can see in our scale right now, we were sitting in the 60s. That is a moderate dew point. Up there in Mariana, they were in the 50s, so they're a little more comfortable than we are. But things are a lot nicer. We're used to these oppressive and miserable ranges, but right now we are sitting a lot nicer with that cool front and that dry air that welcomed us into our week. Here we see our current winds looking pretty good. 6 in St. Mark's, 9 in Tallahassee. Things are coming from the northeast mostly, so that's a lot cooler air than normally as they come from the Gulf. But the Atlantic cool air, as it moves over land, it gets a little bit drier and cooler. So it's a nice gift for us Floridians who are used to those miserable temperatures that we have been experiencing all year. Our satellite and radar, not a thing to point out. Very clear throughout the entire region, not many clouds either. So things are just very clear, cool, and not very humid outside. Just a wonderful evening for us as we are welcomed into the middle of the week. Tonight's forecast, mostly clear. Things are going to stay clear. Our wind's just going to drop a little bit to 5 miles an hour, but still out of the northeast, so that's a good sign for us. And our temperatures drop into 58 Tallahassee, Monticello, sit in the same temperature, 60 in St. Mark's, 56 in Thomasville, 54 in Bainbridge. It's just nice to be able to talk about those temperatures in the 50s because we have been sitting a lot warmer all year. Down by the water, a little bit warmer, 62 and 63, but can't complain about these temperatures. A clear night, a cool night, a wonderful night for us to stay indoors and study for our midterms. Wear layers tomorrow because it does get a lot hotter as the day progresses. It's going to get up to 84. You might wake up to some chillier temperatures, but let's go ahead and take a look at that. What we're going to see tonight, 73, it's going to get to 67, and then 64 around midnight. But if we take a look at the week ahead, things are looking very nice. Sydney, look at those temperatures. Can't complain about that. 58 as our low on tomorrow. So do you have any plans for 58 degrees?
No, but also when it's 58 degrees at night, it's also going to be a clear night. So it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not used to these low temperatures getting that low. So into tomorrow morning is actually when the 58 degrees will come. So make sure you wear some sweatshirts and some layers with that.
Yeah, I didn't pack any of my winter clothes. I mean, they just take up so much room, and now the temperatures are dropping, and I don't have anything to wear.
Like, what do I wear? Yeah, so look at that. The full sun Thursday and Friday, and then into the rest of our week, you notice those rain chances are ramping up around Sunday. It looks like another front is going to be coming through, bringing some cooler temperatures with that.
Yeah, just got to weather the storm, and then you get the cool weather as a payoff.
Those drier conditions after it's rained down on us and cooler temperatures. So I'd say it's a okay trade-off. I would say it's fair.
Luckily, midterms are next week, so most of us aren't going to be outside this weekend anyway, but still can enjoy those temperatures next week as things do cool down, get us in the Halloween spirit, in the fall spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely getting us in the fall spirit. With those, with the rain chances, and you can see that next front is going to be slightly weaker than the one that we saw go by, only bringing the temperature down to 71, but that low on Wednesday is still looking like it's going to hit 57.
Yeah, yeah, things do cool down, and it was nice just to wake up to those low temperatures. And
yeah, and if you do want to share a weather experience, I would suggest writing to us on Facebook or on Twitter. We are very active on Twitter and Facebook. So
also got to mention the Instagram, posting pictures on there every day.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, I'm student meteorologist Sydney Welch.
I'm student meteorologist Megan Berry.
Have a great night.